Morning. It is Monday, September 23rd, and I'm here at the bridge that goes over the Kettle River. And I'm headed out onto the flats of the Trans-Canada Trail between Rock Creek and Midway today. So this is the first spot where it's smooth and level for a little bit, and it becomes bumpier after you cross under the highway, but we'll see how far I get. It's overcast today. It's cold. It's about 9 degrees, so fairly cool, and looks like it's pretty quiet too. That's just looking up the river from the bridge. I thought I saw something moving up there. It's possible I did. A deer walked through my camp last night. Well, yeah, about 4 in the morning. So I'm quite close to the community of Rock Creek. The highway to West Bridge is just across this little field, and then above that is the highway that comes from Osoyoos. Comes down the hill, around the corner there, and then downhill all the way to Rock Creek, which is just right over there. Now, I don't go into Rock Creek proper because the trail that I'm on doesn't recross the river here. But I thought I'd stop and show what the view is like anyway. It's very pretty here. Well, after a 6 or 7 kilometer stretch of pavement, we're back on the gravel. Again, nice bumpy gravel, but right next to the river again. We had wandered away from it for a while, and this is how pretty it is. Fall colors are starting to come into effect with the reds and yellows on the bushes beside the trail. And I'm kind of going into the sun a little bit, but it's still quite nice. That's the highway bridge between Rock Creek and Midway. So the cars are on the highway there going over the river. I actually don't cross the river here. I go under the bridge and then alongside a field on the far side. This, I think, from what I remember, is the bumpiest stretch of trail along this whole section. I remember it being quite rough last time I was here. There's that little mountain that I like so much. But yeah, very peaceful here. Traffic noise accepted. Came through that gate a minute ago, and I spotted this bench that somebody's built and put here. This is a very nice spot. Very nice spot to have a sit for a minute. Just admire the view. Somebody else obviously thought this was a nice spot too. That's looking downriver. Yep, lovely little spot for a rest. Just taking a water break because it's got warm this morning. It's warm enough that I switched out my hat. Well, partly that, and I'm going facing into the sun, and I forgot to bring sunglasses. So I got one with a brim, and it's warm enough I had to take off the jacket. And I failed to bring a cord with me, so I just tied it to the back of the bike with its own sleeves. And I just check on it every once in a while to make sure it stays on, but normally I do carry a spare piece of shoelace or something, but I didn't this time, forgot. Now, incredibly, the Trans-Canada Trail takes a bend right here, and you can see a little bit in the distance there's a pile of logs. That's because the trail actually goes through a lumber mill. This is Vaughan Fiber, just at Midway, and they make chips, wood chips. You can see a couple of little piles of wood chips right there. Well, little, they're probably 30 feet tall piles of wood chips right there. And I don't know if they make press board with them or they send them somewhere else to make press board, but they make chips here. And the mill is active, massive pile of logs over there, and there's some machinery working right there. So I'm not going to film as I go through here because it's dangerous enough just going through here. But I just thought I'd point out we gotta go through an active lumber mill. Also, about 5 minutes ago I ran over a snake. Didn't see it till I was right on it. So that's unfortunate. So made it back here to this pergola at Midway. Took me 2.5 hours to get here. And I think I'm going to continue on that way. Maybe for another hour or so. And see what that's like. But just stopped here and I'll have a seat at this table and have a plum, because I know the next little bit is a climb. It's 1:15 and I made it here to Greenwood. I'm sitting on the patio at the Copper Eagle having a turkey sandwich, an Americano, and a butter tart. They're apparently famous butter tarts. And so it took 4 hours and 15 minutes to get here. And the reason it took so long is because the stretch, after you go past Vaughan Fibre just outside of Midway, until you climb to the top of the hills at Boundary Falls, the trail surface is terrible. It's loose sand and gravel, and it's uphill that whole stretch, which means that you can't get any momentum because you're climbing and you're sinking into sand and gravel the whole time. And effectively, you're always overcoming inertia. So there's no freewheeling. You can't freewheel at all in that stretch. So you're just climbing in your lowest gear. And it just takes a long, long time. But I made it here. I'm going to have this treat, and then I'm going to turn around and head back. And back should be easier because the first hour is downhill. So it should be easier, even though the surface isn't that great. Downhill's better than uphill. Well, it's 5:30 and I'm back in camp. And that means it took me 4.25 hours to cycle to Greenwood and 3.75 hours to cycle back. So I gained half an hour on the return, even though I was more tired. But it was downhill from Greenwood to Midway, so that sort of makes the difference there. Nice ride. The trail's a little sloppy in places, particularly from Midway to Boundary Falls, where it is loose sand and gravel on the uphill, well, on the downhill too, but you're going uphill the way I went, and just loose sand and gravel are really sloppy. And then there's a section between the Ingram Bridge and Rock Creek where it's a really bumpy single track, and it parallels a field, and it's just dirt, and it's just wavy and bumpy, and it's like 2 kilometers long, and it's incredibly slow going through there. But apart from that, I mean, very rideable trail. I mean, I don't have anything special for a bike. It's just an upright street bike, and it seems to work well for me. So that wraps up this trail. That was 85 kilometers return, and in about 8 hours. So pretty decent day. Sky's cleared up a bit. Some of the smoke is dissipated, and I'm going to sleep well tonight. Thanks for watching.